I just looked at Terrence Crawford's latest video. Terrence Crawford, 20 pounds of muscle, my ass. Terrence Crawford looks finished. And I knew that was going to happen because Terrence Crawford's metabolism and its frame. You got him walking around maybe close to 180 or something like that. But as he works out, his body's going to do what it does. It's going to get lean. And I think it benefits Terrence Crawford. Actually, we don't want him stepping in the ring going up to 180. I think it just hinders him, right? When Floyd Mayweather was fighting at 154, he never weighed in at 154. He weighed in at what was most comfortable for him because 154 is the limit. Terrence Bud Crawford, if he gets on the scale and he doesn't weigh quite 168, I think it's actually for his benefit. What he has going for him comes with him being smaller, actually. People talk about his speed, talking about his foot speed, hand speed, talking about all those things, his reflexes and all those things. That comes from what we've seen of him from 147 South.
Jermell Charlo's recent words about Canelo Alvarez have sent ripples through the boxing community.
There's just guys that just have preposterous power, and Canelo is a guy that has power but is constantly working on it. There's a great clip of him working with Andy Ruiz. You know that shield, that weird hand shield they hold up for hooks?
Yeah.
And he's like, this is not for speed. This is just power, just power. He's like, don't try to be fast with this, use power. And you see him, bro, he hits so hard.
After taking a hard loss to the Mexican icon in 2023, Charlo didn't hold back when asked about Canelo's power. He had just 3 words to sum up his experience: a motherfucking beast. For someone who's been in the ring with some of the best, including Canelo, that's not a statement to be taken lightly. Charlo had never truly felt the sting of a punch like that before. He described the moment as the first time he had ever felt woozy in his career, a shocking revelation considering his lengthy resume of high-level fights.
I like Crawford. All right, my brother fought Canelo, not me. I like Crawford in this fight, and he get to stay big. But my brother even told me that was his mistake that he made. He thought going up in weight, I gotta get massive, I gotta get big to beat Canelo. It made him slower, it made his reflexes slower. He'll tell you himself. He didn't feel like the Jermell Charlo that y'all seen him fight Tony Harrison. Crawford, I feel like that's the same thing as happening. You want to get big to try to absorb Canelo punches and all this, but that's not, technically, that's not the Crawford that we're gonna see. And then Crawford going up there to fight Canelo at 68, when he's not a 68 pounder, where's the motivation? Y'all gotta think about it like
big
that.
for Crawford.
The money is good, but I don't expect Terrence Crawford to be the Terrence Crawford that was knocking out Gamboa, doing all. I don't expect that type of Terrence Crawford.
Now, as Canelo prepares for a new challenge, many eyes are on his upcoming fight with Terrence Crawford in Las Vegas next month. Crawford is undoubtedly a pound-for-pound star in his own right, and his transition from lightweight to welterweight and now potentially super middleweight has many questioning how he will fare against the much bigger Canelo. This fight is a different kind of test for Canelo, as Crawford brings in sharp intelligence and technical boxing that could expose some of the weaknesses in Canelo's style.
But Marjanoff did give Crawford problems. I favor Canelo, not by a lot, but I do favor him. I just think that, I think the skull fight was just a bad style. And I think Canelo was like, why force the issue? You know what I mean? I'm up, this guy's running, I'm not gonna take a chance. So I think that it was that kind of fight for Canelo. But Marjanoff did give Crawford problems, you know what I'm saying? And where I felt like, damn, at 54, he gave you problems. 68 is different.
Caron Davis has voiced his opinion on the fight, pointing out that Crawford's mental toughness and his ability to adjust to a higher weight class might play a bigger role than most people think. The size advantage that Canelo holds over Crawford might not be as significant as others believe. Davis suggests that while Crawford is moving up in weight, he's done it in a way that doesn't strip him of his agility or intelligence.
You've been in there with Crawford? Yeah. So you've been in there with Crawford, you've been in there with Canelo. What can you take from sparring both of them to gauge what's gonna happen in September?
Preparation is gonna definitely be everything. Crawford adjusting to the 168 pound division. I know he's been sitting at a heavier weight for a while, but he's been showing his training and stuff. So that's definitely gonna help him. Canelo experience, But if you got Crawford, got great experience as well. It's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a good chess match. I expect a great fight. If I had to favor somebody, I would just pick Canelo because of the weight disparity. Canelo is naturally like sits really well at 168, and it's just always tough for a guy to come to 168 and come from that many weight classes up and do something like that. If he does it, if anybody can do it, it'll be Terrence Crawford.
Richardson Hitchens echoes a similar sentiment. While he doesn't predict a knockout, Hitchens is confident that Crawford's style, based on sharp intelligence, adaptability, and impeccable boxing, could create problems for Canelo, a fighter who thrives on brute strength and power. This suggests that Canelo's ability to close the distance and land his heavy shots may be neutralized by Crawford's slickness and movement. Crawford, with his ring IQ, could very well outthink Canelo, especially in a tactical bout where strategy triumphs over strength.
I think Terrence Crawford is one of the most craftiest dudes that Canelo gonna be in the ring with. Hand speed, IQ, long arms, speed, power. Switch hitter. I just think that it's gonna be it's gonna be something different for Canelo.
The legendary Mike Tyson, who knows all too well the intangible qualities that make great fighters, believes Crawford's mental fortitude could make all the difference. Tyson suggests that despite the physical differences, it's heart, resilience, and mindset that often define the outcome of these types of bouts. Crawford has shown time and time again that his mindset can propel him to victory, and Tyson feels his focus and determination will help him combat Canelo's physical dominance in the ring.
Who do you think wins that fight? Is it maybe the weight too much for Terrence Crawford?
There's been men that beat people like Armstrong and McLaren and these guys. They're beating people bigger than them, 2 divisions bigger than them. It's not impossible, Henry Armstrong's a featherweight, and he beat the middleweight champ. At 130 pounds, he beat the welterweight champ. Then he fought a draw with the middleweight champ. So I think size means nothing. Determination means everything.
Zab Judah is even more confident in Crawford's abilities. Judah believes Crawford has the skills to stop Canelo, pointing out how Crawford's intelligence and quick reflexes might be the keys to overpowering the Mexican fighter. He suggests that Crawford's speed and ability to outthink his opponent could give him an edge, especially as the fight wears on and Canelo's energy begins to dip.
What about Canelo and Crawford?
Crawford. No hesitation. No hesitation.
I want to see that fight.
Big Bud. We're going to have to roll Canelo up. We're going to have to pack him up, baby.
But how hard is the jump from 47 to 68?
I mean, listen, it's a very big challenge. But what I said, with his skills and the way he's adapted to the size, brother, when I seen them stand toe-to-toe and side by side, I said, game over. Terrence Crawford. And listen, don't be surprised if he stopped him. I'm telling you.
Who?
Don't be surprised
if Canelo stops Crawford.
Terrence Bud Crawford stops Canelo.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I love you. Skills pay the bills. See that, Cody? Skills pay the bills.
Caleb Plant adds a balanced view to the conversation. Plant doesn't think the fight will come down to size or raw talent alone. For him, it's also about mental toughness. He points out that both fighters bring unique attributes to the table: Canelo's raw power and experience, and Crawford's sharpness and adaptability. This combination of factors makes the fight an unpredictable and intriguing spectacle, one that's bound to test the limits of both fighters.
Terrence is not a regular guy, you know what I'm saying? He's special. And, Canelo, he's a top-notch fighter, world-class fighter. Still on the pound-for-pound list, I'm sure towards somewhere near the top. And it's exciting. Terrence is freakishly strong. He can punch, he's got good crack. He can fight from both ways. Orthodox, southpaw, he can fight at mid-range, close range, outside. And he can fight going both ways, so it's exciting. It's a big question mark on the end of it, though. So that's why, I'm sure all of us are excited for that bell to ring and, be able to find out firsthand.
Stephen A. Smith, the famous sports commentator, has also weighed in on the matchup, siding with Crawford. He believes that Crawford's superior footwork and ability to move around the ring will be crucial in avoiding Canelo's powerful shots. Canelo's style, while potent, is largely based on closing the distance and landing heavy punches. Smith suggests that this could play into Crawford's hands, as he thrives in technical matchups where he can box on the move. If Crawford can stay light on his feet and avoid the big power punches, he might just pull off an upset.
You got a love for boxing.
Yes, love
Who
boxing.
gonna win the fight, man? That's coming up, the biggest
Crawford.
fight in boxing.
Crawford.
Huh?
Crawford. I'm not hesitating. Crawford. I'm not even hesitating. Crawford.
You gonna stand on that all the way to September 13th?
I love Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo by decision. I can't see anybody knocking out Canelo Alvarez. But I do believe that if you can box and you can move, that you can beat Canelo. You can outpoint him.
That's right.
When I think about Canelo, one of the things that I don't like about Canelo, despite his greatness, and a neck as wide as Broadway for crying out loud.
Right.
It's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yeah.
That's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, strong fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's gonna go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight, and Crawford is not. And Canelo is a genius in this regard. You don't see him show up for fights not ready. He's always ready.
Always prepared.
He's always ready.
gotta
He's
give him that.
always prepared. So I think he's the slower fighter, though. And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to outpoint Canelo because he's faster. But I don't think he's gonna knock him.
Kelly Pavlik brings an interesting perspective as well. While he acknowledges Canelo's experience against larger opponents, he also points out that Crawford hasn't had the same level of experience facing bigger men. Pavlik believes this could be a deciding factor in the bout, as Crawford is still learning how to compete at a weight class where the fighters are bigger, stronger, and more accustomed to the pace. Despite his reservations, Pavlik still recognizes Crawford's skills and suggests that the key to victory for Crawford lies in his ability to use speed, footwork, and ring IQ to control the pace of the fight.
That's a tough one. Look, I like betting fights or making picks, and I'm usually pretty good on all my picks, even when I had the podcast. But sometimes, because people look for that fighter, that former world champion, and they like want to pick them apart if they get it wrong. This is one of the fights where I want to sit back and watch and not worry about my pick. Canelo is a small middleweight, super middleweight. He just is. But he's also showed that he could go up in weight class, and he's a great fighter. I mean, that's it. Crawford is so talented. He's got so much ability in boxing, his boxing ability. And he's a bigger guy, too. He's almost every bit as big as Canelo, right? So that's what makes it tough. Like, yeah, Canelo's used to fighting guys coming down from 200 probably, at light heavyweight. And Crawford ain't. But it's just too hard to pick on that because of Crawford's ability and boxing skills. I'm not going off of Canelo's last fight. The guy he was fighting was in survival mode pretty much. He was just fighting not to get knocked out. When you fight a guy like that, you're not going to look good, right? I don't care what anybody says. When you fight a guy that's running around trying to survive, it makes it hard. So I don't go off of that, but this fight is going to be interesting. I mean, I would almost have to kind of lean with Canelo, but I'm not making that pick. Just saying, guys.
Pavlik also offers some tactical advice for Crawford. Apply early pressure to Canelo. By doing so, Crawford could tire out Canelo, especially in the latter rounds, where the Mexican has shown signs of fatigue in past bouts. This strategy, based on the assumption that Canelo's energy might fade, could provide Crawford with an opening for a late stoppage or a clear decision win. It's a calculated risk, but one that could pay dividends if Crawford can execute it properly.
Stay in Canelo's ass a little early on. Put Canelo behind. Right? Even if it's 3 out of the first 4 rounds, because when Canelo has to fight, when Canelo has to step it up, after 7 rounds, he starts to fade a little bit. We've seen that with Bivol. We've seen it in a lot of his fights with Triple G. When Canelo could control the fight and the ring generalship, he could fight 12 rounds pretty good. But when Canelo gets pushed early on in the fight, he starts to fade muscle endurance wise. So if I was Crawford, I would kind of stay in a little bit on the early rounds and make him have to play catch up in rounds 3, 4, 5, and then by round 7. That's where, he could really step it up.
Tim Bradley is firmly in Crawford's corner. He's dismissive of concerns about Canelo's recent performances, particularly his underwhelming showings against opponents like John Ryder. Bradley believes that Crawford's superior boxing skills will prove too much for Canelo to handle, regardless of the Mexican's attempts to make it a brawl. Bradley's confidence in Crawford stems from the belief that the Omaha native will be able to control the fight from start to finish, even if Canelo tries to turn it into a slugfest.
One more thing. It don't matter if Canelo is on that. He ain't beat no Terrence Crawford. You heard it here first. Plus, I look at the performances of Canelo. I look at his last performances. I mean, they've been all right, It ain't been like, wow, blew me away. So I'm not really worried about all of that. And the same thing goes with Crawford. I know he's with Snack, and I know some news came out this week and all of that, but I personally believe that Snack is clean. I think it's a conflict of interest, the fact that, hey, he knows how to beat the system, quote unquote, Victor Conte, but at the same time, I think Snack, you got products going around the world, this and that. I mean, all these athletes are testing. They're not testing anything or positive by using Snack at all. So I think they're safe. There's no doubt about it. So with that being said, I'm not worried about that. As long as they're testing, I'm good.
However, Shannon Briggs doesn't share these doubts. He believes that Crawford has what it takes to stop Canelo, despite the physical mismatch. Briggs points to Crawford's ability to box from both stances and his technical brilliance as reasons why Crawford could pull off an upset. Having known Crawford since he was a kid, Briggs is confident in the undefeated star's abilities and predicts that Crawford will win by stoppage in a highly technical performance.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great fight. I got Crawford by stoppage, and I've known him since he was a little kid, 12 years old. So to see him now fighting for a title in such a big fight, it's a great experience, great to see.
Last question for me then, how do you think Crawford stops him? How do you think he's able to work Canelo enough for him to stop the fight, knock him down? How do you think this is possible by Crawford style?
He gonna box him. He can fight both ways. He gonna trick him up. One thing Canelo showed is that he can be outboxed. But I think this time in the late rounds, I think Crawford gonna have something for him.
Sergio Mora initially had concerns about Crawford's ability to compete with Canelo at 168 pounds. Mora questioned whether Crawford would be able to handle someone like Canelo, especially after his relatively unimpressive outing against William Skull. But after further reflection, Mora has softened his stance, acknowledging that Crawford's resilience and skill set could allow him to surprise many with a stellar performance. He believes that Crawford's counterpunching ability and versatility in switching stances could be key factors in neutralizing Canelo's power.
I ain't gonna lie, I've been putting it out since, I want to say, when he fought Sean Porter. Like back then, if you go watch, it's an interview out there. I had said I think that Terrence Crawford would beat Canelo Alvarez right after he fought Sean Porter.
At that point, but why did you believe then that was the right fight?
Because I just knew, like, as far as in that weight class, Terrence Crawford is like the greatest. So I just feel as though with Canelo's style and like the style of boxing that he got, I think and this is before Bivol did it, but I thought like Terrence Crawford was the only guy who I felt as though could have beat Canelo with his style.
Shakur Stevenson has long been a believer in Crawford's potential to dethrone Canelo. Stevenson has watched Crawford's development closely, especially his performance against Sean Porter in 2021, which cemented his status as one of the best in the game. Stevenson is confident that Crawford's skill set, his ability to switch between orthodox and southpaw styles, paired with his elite boxing IQ, makes him the perfect fighter to take on Canelo and win. Finally, Erislandy Lara, who has fought Canelo to a split decision loss, offers a more cautious outlook. Lara knows firsthand how tough it is to cope with Canelo's power, particularly in the later rounds. He suggests that Crawford's best bet is to use his speed and movement to stay away from Canelo's power punches, keeping the fight at a distance and making Canelo work harder than he's used to. If Crawford can do that, Lara believes he could avoid getting caught in a slugfest and outbox Canelo to victory.
He sees it as a very interesting 50-50 fight. He just feels like Canelo's very strong right now, and he wants to figure out to see how Crawford's gonna handle the power, especially in the early rounds, and what's gonna happen. So yeah, he said he remembers fighting Canelo back 14 years ago it is now, and he said he remembers he uses legs real good, and as long as Crawford uses his legs and he doesn't let Canelo just hit him in the arms and beat him up in the arms, he has a very good chance of fighting.
In the end, the fight between Canelo and Crawford is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated boxing events in recent memory. With differing opinions on the outcome, it's clear that both fighters bring unique strengths to the table. Whether it's Canelo's brute force or Crawford's technical brilliance, the world will be watching closely to see who will come out on top in this massive showdown.